Today we are going out and collecting blood samples from nestling bald eagles and analyzing that blood for environmental contaminants.
The Eagle Health Project started out as a project that helps us understand the contamination levels across the state of Wisconsin, mainly focused on the Great Lakes areas to start. So we can use bald eagles as a way to understand how much contamination is in an area. Bald eagles eat a lot of the same foods that we do. They also eat both aquatic and terrestrial food sources. So they kind of give us an understanding of like what are potentially the heavy metal levels, what are the PCBs or PBDEs.
To check it.
The days are long, so usually we kind of get up about 7:30 in the morning and head right out to the first nest. These nests can be 5 to 10 miles apart, so there's a lot of driving from one spot to the other.
I would say it's maybe the size of the larger one we did yesterday.
Okay.
So once we can determine whether or not we think that there's an eaglet in there, we would send our tree climber all the way up to the tree.
Spurs and lanyards, I think it's going to be. So my name's Matt Stuber. I'm the tree climber in the crew here. First of all, we try to be as safe as we can be. We assess a tree, make sure it's safe to get into the nest, make sure it's safe to climb the tree, period.
These are my spurs. These are what helps my feet stick in the tree.
This is just the gaff that goes into the tree that give me footholds wherever I need them as I climb. All right, see you guys in a bit. I love being up in eagle nests. I love seeing things from that perspective. Some of the nests are just in the canopy and there's not much to see, but every once in a while you get in one that's got a penthouse type view of the Wisconsin River, for example. This year we're on the Wisconsin River, so. Okay, right on the Wisconsin River. Two pretty good sized and good aged eaglets. I'm guessing the one in the back is a female and the one in the front here in the foreground is a male. We go out of our way to make sure that no harm is done to these eaglets and the parents. We climb the nests only when they're of a certain age. We make sure we're not handling them too long. And yeah, we just generally make sure that they're as healthy and as comfortable as they can be. And if we can't achieve that, then we typically don't go through with the sampling effort. But yeah, my job is just to get the eagles to the ground, and they do the rest down there.
So once we get the eagles on the ground is kind of when we go to work.
138.
First, what we do is we take morphological measurements. How much does the bird weigh? How big is the beak? How big are their talons? And these are all a good indication of kind of how healthy the bird could be. And then we draw a blood that we will then be able to do some of the contamination work on later. We can look at kind of the hormone aspect. So we can explore different hormone levels that play a role in development. And then we can look at other hormones like cortisol, which is like a stress hormone that can be a good depictor of how's the animal doing.
We've been doing this project long enough to know that as soon as we return the eagle nestlings back to the nest, that the adults come back soon after we leave. We target the sampling at roughly 5 to 9 weeks of age. And at that age, we know that the eagles are big enough, large enough to be handled. And we really only have them out of the nest for maybe 15 or 20 minutes total. So they're not out of the nest for long periods of time.
My job is a toxicologist. So the first field season, I've never done any of this before. So I walked into this like a scared puppy. And so it was like kind of hectic, chaotic. But then at the very end of the very first nest that I went to, Brian Dewey just goes, "Would you like to hold an eagle?" And I was like, yes, 100%. And so kind of walked you through how to hold it and just kind of hands you an eagle. And it was super surreal, right? You're kind of holding this massive, 4-kilogram bird with these giant murder mitts that are like ready to, take your face off. It's a surreal moment every time that you have one. Yep. The reason we built such a unique team together is to try to tackle all of these questions from a whole bunch of different angles. We've brought in somebody to look at immunological impacts. That's why we look at the biomonitoring impacts. We have somebody that's kind of exploring the disease side to this. And that's super helpful, especially when these projects are so expensive and we can kind of do 10 projects within one big project. And it's a lot of fun.